guys, I'm ready. All right, part of the reason why I want to start right away is there's a lot to do, a lot to go over. I also, if you heard, I posted the solutions, all right, all the worked out solutions, all right, but I have them up here also. So let's just go ahead and take a look at that, all right. So if you'll take a look, all right, I'll just kind of scroll down the solutions here, and you can kind of take a look at where you're at. I'd like to see if you got a right answer. If you made a mistake and you want me to discuss it, you just raise your hand and say, show me how to do that. All right, number 1 was C. Any objections? Number 2 is A. Everybody happy so far? Number 3. What happens to the tsunami? Right, so it's what? C. I didn't really like it though. The tsunami doesn't always keep getting bigger, right? All right, it crashes down when it hits the shore. Do you agree? All right. So again, number 4 and 5. Yes. Yep. Awesome. Any questions? Any questions? I agree, it's pretty easy. You should make A's tomorrow. Take a look at 6, 7, 8, and 9. Now remember, they're asking whether a relation is a function. Remember, a relation is a function if all of the x values have a single y value. Yes, sir.
How is 7?
Does it? Oh wow. Yeah, somebody circled the wrong answer there. Definitely wasn't me. Alright. You're correct. You know how much I like to be corrected. Minus 10. Yes. Y is number 9, yes. Oh, I try to draw a horizontal line. Remember, y equals 2 is always a horizontal line. Therefore, it passes the vertical line test. If I have x equals 2, it's a vertical line, and so it would not pass the vertical line test. So, vertical line is not a function. Horizontal line is a function. Yep. So remember, this is what I try to show kids for that. That's a pretty good question. If I say x equals 2, that just means all of the x values are 2. Right? So let me show you something. There's 1, there's 2. All those points have an x value that's what? You with me now, right? So if the x value is 2, that's why it creates a vertical line. It seems like it shouldn't be that way, but you see it now, right? All right, so I'm pretty happy with that. All right, let's move forward. All right, the ones where we have to check now. I'm just going to blow this up a little bit. Everybody okay with 10 and 11? Yes. Yeah, you're just plugging -1 in, right? Now, when you plug -1 in, remember, you're putting it in parentheses. If you don't put it in parentheses, you get the wrong answer. So I'd like everybody to take out their calculator so I can show you something. Because a lot of times it's on standardized tests because they know kids will do the mental math and make a mistake. All right, I'd like everybody to type in -1. Now remember, when you type in -1, it's the negative, not the minus. So everybody agreeing with this? All right, so everybody type in -1 and then hit the square button. And believe it or not, that is the correct answer. -1 squared is what? -1.
It's the x2.
All right. Anybody have any issues?
Where's the negative sign? It's the x2.
Well, the negative sign's at the bottom. Right? You good now? And squared. You guys can figure that out. Yes.
Why is -1 squared not 1? Because isn't it -1 times -1?
All right. That's what everybody has been taught, but that's incorrect. All right. Let me explain to you why. So this will make perfectly good sense from now on. It's very easy to understand. All right. So you got to listen to me now, because most people think -1 squared is 1. If you ask most people, they'll say -1 squared is 1. It's not. It's what? -1. And here's exactly why. If I said to you, what is 1 minus 2 squared? 1 minus 2 squared. What would that answer be? What's 1 minus 2 squared? Just mental math, what would that be? Of course, right? -3. So now you understand. Right? Because this is what? Then you would say up here, then the answer is 5. If you think -2 squared is 4, then this answer up here should have been 5. Because it's the same thing. This and this have not changed. Let me show you what I mean by that. This, watch, you guys really listen, has not changed.
Yeah, but 1 minus 4 equals -3.
So what's -2 squared? So then you would tell me that the answer would be 1 plus 4 equals 5, according to your logic, what you just said. This up here shouldn't be -3, it should be 5. Because you just said -2 squared is 4. So 1 plus 4 is 5. You see what I'm saying, right? So again, if you're not listening, listen. I can't make you any smarter. Math is logic. It makes perfectly good sense. If you don't understand the logic, you're just building a house of cards. All right? It's not going to make sense. At some point, you're not going to be able to memorize everything. So I'm trying to show you, obviously, -2 squared is -4. All right? Hopefully you understood what I just said. Now, I also want to show you this, though. What is that? That is +4. Because that means -2 times -2. That's what that means. Now watch my last explanation. This means the opposite of 2 squared. This negative sign means the opposite. All right? So the negative in sign, if I say -3, you could say -3, or you could look at that and say that just means the opposite of 3. And what's the opposite of 3? -3. So bear with me on this now. All right? Now, generally on standardized tests, they put something like -2 squared on the test because everybody puts what? 4. And it's what? It's -4. For this reason, it's following order of operation. So you do the square before you do the negative out in front. Is everybody with me? All right? If you put it in parentheses, that's a different meaning. All right? That's why your calculator you think that is incorrect is actually what? Correct. And if you take those old calculators, remember those old ones you used last year, type in -2 and squared on that. What does it come out to be? It says -4. All right. On some of the older calculators, it used to say 4. All right. So again, they fixed it. All right. Is everybody with me on this now? Very, very important. Very important for your understanding of numbers. All right? Very good question. All right, now I want to make sure everybody understands what I just said. All right, so now is everybody comfortable with 10 and 11? Is everybody comfortable with 10 and 11? All right, now I'm going to scroll to 12 and 13. Now remember, f of 7 minus 9 just means find f of 7 and then what? Subtract 9. These are good problems. So everybody's looking at 12. Everybody looking at 13. And 14 was the one I thought was a little bit harder. All right. Now listen, before you ask me a question, what I'd kind of like you to do is kind of concentrate and look at the work. Try to follow the work. All right. Try to follow my explanation. All right. Now I'll hear you. It's right there on the board. You see what I'm saying, right? Now, one of the most important things I'm trying to teach you is how to look at information. Look at what you have, look at what I have, and try to figure out what's different. No, you don't have to tell me. You're just trying to say, yeah, I found my mistake. That is the most important thing. You can learn to find your mistakes. All right, I think that's really important. All right, does anybody have any questions with 12, 13, and even look at 14? If you don't understand the symbolism, it's no good. All right, is everybody comfortable with 12, 13, and 14? Very important. All right, so I'm going to scroll 14 up. All right, just so you can see it a little better. And then I want you to try to tell me why you don't understand it. All right. What does G of B mean to do? Plug for X value. Very good. Plug B in for X. Then I'm going to do what? And then I'm going to... What's the problem? Yes, I think that's a good idea. Now look up on the board though. Follow it though. Make sure you're good. Yes, sir.
I was wondering why wouldn't you square -4b just like the square?
Okay, because listen to me. It's not 16 because the 4 is not being squared. All right, look at the original function. I think that's a very good question. All right, so I'm going to scroll down. Is the original function, is the 2 being squared? No, you're right. No, it's not. What is being squared? Only the x. If I did this now is the 2 being squared? Yes. Now you know the difference. Correct? All right. Yes, sir.
Where did you get -2b squared from?
Well, that was the original function, wasn't it? Wasn't the original function x minus 2x squared?
Oh.
Right? All right. Everybody happy? All right. I think those are the tricky ones, but listen to me. Probably the most important ones. Functional notation. All right. Here we go. 15 and 16 I don't think should have been that much of a problem for you guys. Now, I'm not suggesting to use your calculator, but I am suggesting you can check your work with your what?
Calculator.
Right? And some of you learn quickly that a minus and a negative are not the same thing. Do you agree? So you have to be careful with that. Now, if you are not checking your work on your calculator, you're making a mistake. And the reason why I say that is because when you take your test and you try to check your work, you can't come to my desk and say my calculator's not working. That just means you haven't what? You haven't used it. Right? Find your mistakes now, and I can help you with your mistakes in your calculator, not during the test. Yes?
If you don't have the calculator that has absolute value, would it be okay to go on?
No, you're not allowed to use your iPad during the test. All right, but what I'm saying, though, is absolute value is relatively simple. Patrick, you with me? Absolute value is kind of simple, right? So it's not that Agreed? All right, everybody good? All right, let's move forward here. I want everybody to have time now to check out 17, 18, 19. Some people ask me some questions. Absolute value. How many equations are we going to have during the absolute value? Two equations. Do we agree? You have to set up two equations. If you didn't set up two equations, you didn't do it right. Remember, the first thing is you write 2z minus 9 equals 1. Then you write 2z minus 9 equals what? Does everybody understand what I'm saying? The absolute value here is already isolated. Do we agree? So I don't have to do anything. Down here is the absolute value isolated. No, because there's a minus 4 and a times 9 around it. So I have to isolate it first. How do I isolate it? I had to add 4, and then I had to do what? Divide by 9. So I was left with the absolute value of x equals 3. Now is it isolated? Yes. So we know that x is equal to 3 or x equals negative 3.
How did you get 4 on 17?
Right here?
Yeah.
Are you having trouble with negative 1 plus 9? And then 8 divided by 2? We're in business, right? All right, simple as that. Everybody good? Yes.
I have a question on 19. How did you get negative?
Because remember, once you have it isolated, you write it the way you see it without the absolute value. Then you write it with the opposite of that sign. You with me? So now if I plug in negative 3, what's the absolute value of negative 3? 3 times 9. 27 minus 4. So I know I'm correct because I just checked it real quick. Everybody good with that? That wasn't bad. All right, so let's move it up a little bit and see what's next. All right, now I really feel like you guys are good with the next one because it's just formulas. All right, it's just formulas. And the formula for finding the percent of increase or decrease is just the what? Change divided by the original amount. Now, definitely you could use a calculator on this one, and I want you to. All right. Everybody looking at 20, 21, 22, 23. Now, I'm trying to convince kids that when you see decimals repeat, you should know it's over 9. Yeah. Right? That's what I'm hoping you can do. All right. So anybody have any questions? 20, 21, 22, or 23? Any of those? Everybody good? Let's move on. Now, I feel like you guys were pretty good with the taxing and the discounts. I think that was pretty good. So just check and see if your work corresponds. And if you're not seeing the number, you let me know. Any issues on that? Everybody good? All right, now the discounted price. Any issues? Not too bad, correct? $31 or $32. Anybody have any issues with that? For which one? 31. Now listen to me. The original price was what? $269, right? You get the discount of 20%, so that means you only had to pay 80%. You agree with that? Then you have to pay the tax, which was 7%. You have to multiply that by 1.07. Agreed? Anybody have any issues? Any issues? All right, here we go. The literal equations now. Let's take a look at that. I got you. Distance equals rate times time. Solving for r. Everybody good with number 33? Remember to isolate, you're just undoing. What about 34? 35, 36, take a look at those, please. Yes. All right, so 34, do you agree? 36? All right, generally the problem with 36 is kids forget that to undo a fraction, you have to multiply by the reciprocal. Do you agree? So if I have 2/3, the first thing I'm going to do is subtract v, right? And then to undo a 2/3, I multiply by 3/2. Agreed? I'll push it up a little bit. All right, so everybody think they're good on that? Everybody good? I don't think that was that bad. All right, now take a look at 37. I just did something. You don't have to write all that out like that, but it's kind of showing you functional notation. All right? And so, how much does the rental car fee? All right? So it's going to be $20 per day, right? Plus what? 30 cents per mile. Everybody agree with that? So the M just stands for mile, right? So it depends on how many miles you drive. That's what the cost is. Does everybody agree? And since you drove 25 miles, it's 30 cents times 25. Add the 20, so your bill would be $27.50. Everybody okay with that? Everybody good? Pretty straightforward. All right. Let's continue on now. $38. Determine which is a function. Right, I kind of tried to demonstrate here that for A, 2 was used twice, right? So that's out. In C, 4 was used twice, so that's out. In D, -2 was used twice, so that's out. And if you heard what I said, all lines are functions unless they're vertical. And y equals 1/5 x plus 2 is a line. Very good? Alrighty. Let me keep going. 39. Is everybody okay with 39 being -12? Okay, so I just replaced r with -9, right? So 9 divided by 3 is 3. 3 times 2 is 6. You agree with that? So -6 minus 6 is -12. You agree with that or not? See it now? All right. Functional notation, plug in, and you're in good shape. All right. Let's see if you understand some graphs now. The stock price did what? Didn't change. Do you agree with this? Everybody happy? Remember, the domain is the what? X values. The range would be the what? The Y values. All right. I don't think I had a range question here, but you might have one. All right. So just make sure you remember that. Yes, sir. Does everybody see that? And the reason it's not a function because this right here. All right. Does everybody see? Everybody good on that? I don't think that's that bad. Is everybody okay with 43 being B? Okay, the y-intercept. The y-intercept is just where does it cross the y-axis? The x-intercept would be where does it cross the x-axis. Everybody good on that? So I tried to highlight what the y-intercept is. That is the y-intercept right there. What do you notice about the x value? That x value is what? 0. Everybody agree with that? So 0 bracelets cost about $30. All right, later we'll get into exactly why that is. But All right, is everybody okay with this? Now, I don't think I really mentioned end behavior, but I feel like that's just something you should say. That just means what's going on at the end, right? And what's going on at the end? It's increasing. I don't think that was bad, right? Pretty easy? Yes.
Why wouldn't it be the cost per dozen increases?
Oh, actually, that's a very good question.
Yeah, I had that.
Does it look like the cost per dozen is increasing?
Yeah.
Well, you don't know.
Because it's the amount of
Yeah.
dozens
I don't know.
Yay, very smart, very smart. So let's say, for example, here's what you mean. Let's say when you buy flowers, you buy it for the dozen. So let's say you go buy a dozen flowers and it's cost $10. So if you buy 2 dozen, it's going to cost you what? You buy 3 dozen, it's going to cost you. Is the price per dozen increasing? No, because the price per dozen stays the same. It's just how many dozens that you are purchasing is more. Therefore, the price is getting what? The price is getting bigger. That was a very good question, by the way. Whoever just asked me that. That was a very good question. All right, so you understand what I just said, right? The cost per dozen is not changing. It's the fact that you're buying what? That you're buying more. So the more you buy, the higher the cost. Is everybody good with this? All right, very good question. All right, so let's move on. Everybody take a look at 46. See if you're happy with that. Very good.
I have a question. So R is X.
That's right. I just, wherever I saw an X, I put what? R. And then I just multiplied everything through by 2. Agreed? All right, nice. Now remember, we already talked about this. The independent is the X, and the dependent is the Y. All right, does anybody have any questions with independent and dependent? Just something you have to know. The Y depends on the X. The Y depends on the X. Bless you. All right, any questions with that? All right. Now check out 48 for me. 49 and 50. Does anybody have any issue with 48? Yes, good. No. Listen now. For 48. Now listen, 48 is not an equation. 48 is not an equation. It's just evaluate. It's like if I say, what's the absolute value of -3? It would be 3. It's just a question. It's not an equation. Right? If I say, what's the absolute value of 1 minus 5? It would be -4, right? We're good? All right. So 49, I think we've already, this is like the second time through this. All right? So every time you do an absolute value equation, you have to set it equal and set it equal to its opposite. Any questions with 49? Now number 50, don't forget we have to do what? Isolate the absolute value first. Isolate the absolute value first. So I had to get rid of the -5, then I had to get rid of the 3. Is everybody good with this? Everybody good? Any questions or concerns on number 30 now? Yes.
I didn't get them.
So I added 5. Agreed? And then I divided by 3. So now I isolated the absolute value. You sure you're okay with that? Then it's just like this up here. You set the absolute value equal to the number and set the absolute value equal to the opposite. Yes.
So you never distribute?
No, do not distribute through an absolute value. Isolate the absolute value. Make yourself a note of that. Isolate the absolute value first. In order to solve an absolute value, it must be isolated first. Very good. Okay. Uh-oh. 51. You got to be careful. We isolated the absolute value and it was a what? And so therefore it is no solution. Very happy with this? All right, very good. Okay, now I got into the SAT questions. These are the important ones now. Double check yourself on 52. What do I have to plug in on 52? 7 in for x. Then I have to plug in what? 5. And what do I do with those two answers? Subtract them. That's what that means. Everybody with me? Everybody okay with that? Come on. Listen, you to sit there and not know something is really silly. All right, this is advanced stuff now. This is on a high school entrance exam. All right, if you don't know, it's okay not to know. But I'm asking you to follow directions. That's what I'm asking you to do. So all I'm doing is I'm talking about 52. That's it. If you have a problem with 52, speak up.
So I still get how you got 10 over 2.
You plug 7 in for x. What's 7 plus 3?
7 plus 3 is 10.
There you go.
Oh,
And then I plugged 5 in for x. Come on, guys. That's what I'm saying. Don't sit there and not know something. It's obvious if you know. If you don't know, it's not obvious. So let's make it obvious. Anybody have any issues with 52 now? Nobody? All right, let's start by 53. How did I know I was solving for P? Because I looked at all my answers to make sure. I'm solving for P. Everybody agree? Again, this was on a high school entrance exam, SATs. If I'm solving for P, what do I have to get rid of first? The what? Yeah, you have to get rid of divided by 6. How do I get rid of divided by 6?
Times 6.
Multiply by 6. So when I multiply both sides by 6, the 6 and the divided by 6 do what to each other? They cancel out. So I have 6e equals O plus 4m plus p. Anybody have any questions with that? What?
so you cancel out the 6?
Yes.
Like,
100% correct.
you multiply both sides?
Yes. I multiplied both sides by 6. Patrick, what? Well, now I'm at this stage, right here. I'm still solving for P. So I have to get rid of the O and the 4M. So that means I have to undo addition, right? So to undo addition, I have to do what? Come on, guys, take a look up there. Make sure you feel good about that. Everybody good? Because you're going to see some of these questions tomorrow. Similar. Everybody good with A? All right, let me pull up 54. 54 and 55 I think were kind of easy, but we'll see. 54 I thought was particularly easy, right? That's, believe it or not, on a high school exam. Kind of silly in my opinion, but it was. Everybody good with that? Okay, let's see how good you are with percentages. 115% is written as what? 1.15. In math, of means to do what? Multiply. So it's 1.15 times x equals 460. So what was x? Now don't take my word for it. You can use your calculator. Bless you. It's just 460 divided by 1.15. Try that. Tell me what that x is. X would be 400. So they're talking about the number 400, right? Now they just want 75% of that number. 75% of 400 is 300. Everybody happy with that? Everybody good? Take your calculator out and do 460 divided by 1.15. Agreed? Right? All right, everybody happy with that? All right, here we go. Okay, I tried to work these out kind of and showed you. Sometimes you just have to read, and although I didn't explain it exactly to you, you're supposed to be able to interpret that. It says, on which interval is the target heart strictly increasing and then strictly decreasing? So does everybody see the blue? That's strictly what? And then the red is strictly, so on that interval. Does everybody agree with me on that? Increasing, we're going up. Decreasing, we're going down. Everybody good with that? Now, 57, just in case you're having trouble, I did different colors to match up with where you are on the graph. For some reason, kids thought this problem was hard. I thought it was really easy if you understand functional notation, right? So f of -4. Where is the x -4? 1, 2, 3, 4. Do I agree? The red dot is what we're interested in. The red dot is what? 1. So does f of -4 equal 1? Yes. 3 over 2 is the same as what decimal? Come on, guys. That shouldn't be a thought. 3/2 is the same as what decimal? 1.5. Thank you. So go to 1.5. What's the y value at 1.5? 1. Thank you. I try to demonstrate that in green, right? This right here is 1.5. Is everybody with me? The y value that corresponds to that x is 1. Right? Does everybody get that? Now I'm asking about f of 3. So where's the x value 3? What corresponds to that y value? 1. So what's true? All 3 of them are true. Does everybody agree with that? So correct answer 57 was D. That was kind of sneaky. Look at it carefully. Review that. All right. 58, 59. I didn't think that was that hard. According to the line graph above, the number of portable media players sold in 2008 is what fraction of the number sold in 2011? In 2008, we sold what? 100. In 2011, we sold. So that fraction is the same as what? 5/8. I don't think that was that hard. Everybody agree with that? And 59. G of 4. That means plug 4 into the G function. So I did. Divided by f of 1, which means I plugged 1 into the f function, which I did. What's the square root of 4? 2. 1 squared plus 1 plus 5 is 7. Are you happy about that now? I don't think that was too bad, right? All right. What is next? Anything? The end, guys. All right, the end. All right.